What's up, potheads and political junkies? You're watching Cannabis Culture News Live. I'm Jeremiah Vandermeer, editor of Cannabis Culture, and we don't have our lights on, Marius. That's why it's so shady in here. The heavenly lights come on. I'm sitting here with Eric. What's up, Eric?
Not much. What's up with you?
Not much. We were just about to load some bong rips here. I haven't had a bong rip at all today, actually.
Such restraint.
I know. It's craziness. Hi, everybody. Hi, chatters. Good to see y'all. Big show today. Marco Renda of the Treating Yourself Expo on the show. He's going to be talking about next week's big Treating Yourself Expo in Toronto. I'll be there for the expo. We'll be bringing the Pot TV team out there to check it out. If you don't know, the Treating Yourself Expo is the largest marijuana-related expo in Canada. It's huge at the Metro Toronto Convention Center. It's totally awesome. What's up?
Nothing.
No sound?
Yeah.
Oh, Marius,
Last week.
you just can't hear. I see. I forgot to put you on output. But hopefully everybody out there can hear our sound. I'm sure you can. Marius can see the levels, but he just can't hear them. I'll fix that for you in a sec, Marius. So yeah, Marco's going to come on. We'll talk about the Treating Yourself Expo. I've got a whole bunch of videos to play for you guys today. Some hilarious stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen the news about Rob Ford in the city of Toronto, but it's just absolutely hilarious. So I don't want to laugh at anybody's pain, but this guy is such a dickhead that it's really hilarious. Headphones. There you go, Marius. How's that? Is that any better? Whoops. But can you hear us now? Yeah. Okay. Good. All right.
You have two things opening.
Oh, I see. Here, I'll do that for you. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah. Also on the show,
All right,
we're going to bring
good,
Dana
man.
Larson on to talk about the election we just had in British Columbia. Man, I haven't had a show since the election, but what a disappointment. Krusty Cluck managed to somehow come back from the dead and scoop a bunch of seats. Her party, anyway, the Liberal Party. Krusty herself, Christy Clark, did not actually win her seat. She was slaughtered by David Eby, or not slaughtered, it was a pretty close race, but she was in the end taken out by David Eby from the NDP, who's a friend of ours, good drug war guy, or an anti-drug war guy, and it's pretty hilarious. But yeah, I just can't believe that the Liberals were able to scoop the win they did. The NDP went into the whole thing with a 20-point lead and somehow came out losing by 20 points or somewhere. It's unbelievable. I'm beside myself with sadness. Now, I was hoping for an Adrian Dix government at the very least. I would have loved if the Green Party got some votes. The Green Party did win a seat. This is their first seat in the province, so that's a very good thing. Andrew Weaver is the fellow's name who won that one. So
Riding?
yeah, that's your riding?
Yeah,
Oh.
used to be. That's right.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah, that's very cool that he managed to do that. So we'll see what happens in the legislature. Maybe he'll be able to raise a fuss, but it is a Liberal majority in the legislature, so it won't really matter. The Liberals can just make any laws they want and roll over on them again. And speaking of Dana, here's Dana sauntering in right now. Dana? Yeah, so we do have some videos to play. Hi, Dana. But maybe we should just talk to Dana first, and I'll load the bong while we do it. Yeah, Eric's hanging out smoking weed. Hi, Dana.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, pretty good, I guess, aside from being bummed out by the recent election results.
No kidding.
Sensible BC still continues apace, and we keep on working.
Yep. Yeah, I was just talking about the election and Christie and the Liberals doing so well, but I'm not really sure how that happened or what happened exactly. The NDP had such a strong lead going into the election in the polls, but I guess at the last minute...
I think that we didn't... This idea that we can run a campaign without being negative, I think, is a failed idea. It's one thing not to attack your opponent personally. I don't think we should have run ads saying Christy Clark's a bad person or whatever, but you should be running ads saying they have bad policies, they're liars, the things they've done, this is what they've done, this is why they're bad.
Yeah.
And we didn't do any of that. Adrian Dix would say things like, Christy Clark's a good person, and I'm not going to run her down on TV ad. That's actually a quote.
Whoa.
And it's like, no, man, it's not about whether she loves her kid and loves her mom or not. I mean,
Exactly.
everybody, loves their kids and loves their mom, whether or not, that's not the thing to talk about. We should have been hitting much harder, tying her into Gordon Campbell, tying her into the HST, tying her back to all these things which she was a part of. And by failing to do that, I think that when one candidate is saying the other candidate's a nice person, the other candidate is saying that the other one's a socialist, lying, manipulative, bad person, they're going to believe both of them.
Yeah, and the attack ads on
I think
Adrian
that
were really harsh.
they
There
were
a
really
whole
harsh,
bunch of them.
and he should be hitting back, and not necessarily on policies and on ideas. Those are the areas to attack on. But I was very frustrated by that holding back. I think the NDP felt that the election was going to be theirs to win, so they didn't want to do anything risky or do anything that would offend anybody. So I think they held back rather than kicking the Liberals when they were down very hard. We should have been hammering them when we were 20 points ahead, rather than holding off and acting like we're destined to take power.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, in my leadership campaign when I was running for the leader, I got to know the other candidates pretty well. And Adrian's a very smart guy, very intelligent, but I think strategically it was a very bad decision.
Yeah.
And I think Brian Topp, the campaign director, also did a bad job as well. He came in second in the leadership race for the federal NDP, but I think this idea, the way they ran the campaign was just not right. And, you know, I mean, I'm interested in marijuana issues, but it wasn't that either way that lost the campaign. It was a lack of strength and of explaining why we're better. This whole practical change, positive change, one practical step at a time, like,
yeah,
that's a lot of big syllable words. It should be a really easy, simple slogan, right? And that, I don't know. You got to pick 2 or 3 issues, or even one issue. I mean, Christy Clark just repeated over and over again: "Grow the economy, grow the economy." It didn't make any sense. A stupid slogan. Doesn't even make any sense at all.
But that
they've
stuff
destroyed
works.
our economy. The Liberals have done terrible to the British Columbia's finances, to our debt. And yet we somehow let them get away with the idea. Same with the federal Conservatives, right? They totally screwed up the country's finances. They spend tons of money on foreign wars, tons of money on prisons. They want to cut back all those social programs and help Canadians, but somehow they own the economy. And that's something we have to work on, this whole concept. But in terms of marijuana stuff, I mean, we had more friends in the NDP than in the Liberals, that's for sure. When we did our questionnaires and talking to people, the NDP were consistent. The NDP candidates all supported decriminalization or legalization, whatever those things mean. Some of them are very supportive. I know a lot of them personally. It would have been a challenge to get them to act on it and do something at the provincial level if we had Premier Dix. Under the Liberals, there are some who are very friendly. Sam Sullivan is definitely a friend of the marijuana movement and has made a point of it. I would say there's more Liberals that are against it than not.
Yeah.
There's more Liberals that were elected that are harsh prohibitionists. Darryl Pluckus, of course, is one. I think Greg Killow, there's like 3 or 4 that we profiled that were strongly against marijuana, and most of them won their seats. So it's going to be a battle there in terms of making things happen. But I mean, the Sensible BC campaign has never been about winning over politicians. The Sensible BC campaign has always been about bypassing politicians with the grassroots citizens referendum at the provincial level. And the penny dropped over there. Yeah. And so that's what our campaign has always been about. That's what it's going to be about. It doesn't matter what Adrian Dix would have said. It doesn't matter what Christy Clark is going to say. We can pass this law as British Columbians, regardless of what our political leaders say. You know, they didn't want the HST to be defeated, and the people of British Columbia did that as well. Yeah. And we have more support for our issue on this than they did. So it doesn't really change our campaign or what we're doing. And it's just, it doesn't really change anything at all in terms of Sensible BC. Yeah. Our goal is still the same, to get 400,000 plus signatures starting this September, to get our volunteers and supporters and people in place right now over the next few months, so that come September we have a big head start of people who are in place and ready to go. Yeah. I'm actually excited about the Green Party candidate being there and Sam Sullivan being there as well, and David Eby, of course, because I think all 3 of those people are likely to support putting Sensible BC through as some type of legislation, possibly. I mean, I don't know really if, having a person from each party will probably be a big help there. But we'll see what what was his name, Andrew Weaver says. Yeah. I mean, I know the Greens were very pro-marijuana. When I did our questionnaire, the Greens the other parties would give you usually one answer from party headquarters, and the Greens a lot of them wrote their individual responses and were very well thought out, nuanced, understandings of referendum system and the marijuana laws and everything. Yeah. I mean, that'd be great. And there's plenty of conservatives. In fact, more conservatives supported us than Liberals did in BC. I think it's because the Conservative Party of BC are like sort of real conservatives, more libertarian oriented, whereas the BC Liberals and the federal Conservatives are what I call neoconservatives.
That's right.
Social conservatives more, right?
Yeah.
They don't
They are
really
the
interested in the
neocons.
true conservative ideals of a small government that promotes individual liberty. They want a small government that promotes international conflict and wars, and
Right.
it's small when it comes to helping people, but a big government when it comes to police and prisons and military.
on the authoritarian
and,
side of it.
and so they're big spenders, just not on the right programs.
Right.
And big taxers, just not on corporations. They just want to tax individuals.
Right.
So that's kind of what I see, anyways. But we do have political support in BC. We've got a lot of friends, some in the Liberals, some in the Greens, a lot in the NDP still, and some in the Conservatives. And I'll be reaching out to candidates who didn't succeed also in the Conservatives and the Greens, maybe some NDPers, to see if they'll get involved in this campaign. A few of the Conservatives guys were quite enthusiastic. Some of the Greens were as well. They'll have some spare time now that they're not running in this election. And so I hope that we can get some of them to get involved in this campaign and start working for us.
Yeah, for sure.
And we really need to hit the phones. We got a lot of phone calls to make. We have several thousand people we have to be calling over the next couple of weeks. And so we need a lot of help doing that from not only just in BC, but all across Canada. People can get involved. Email volunteer@sensiblebc.ca if you want to get involved in helping out. And our campaign coordinator, Nick, will be happy to get in touch with you and tell you what you can do to get involved in this campaign. We've got over 1,000 volunteers now. Some are more active than others, of course, but we got a lot of folks who are getting involved and working on it, but we need a lot more to make this happen. This is our chance to change the marijuana laws in BC. And if we don't succeed in this campaign, our next chance will probably be not anytime soon. And so with Washington and Colorado changing their laws, we have momentum on our side. We've done a great job. The Stop the Violence campaign has done a great job in BC, but we've got to get over the top and change these laws. And the only way to do that is with a referendum that I can see.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's very cool, Dana. And so people can find out more at sensiblebc.ca. Lots of info there. And I guess that's really what the next stage is just getting those people.
Yeah, we need money, we need people's time, we need people to show up and actually do stuff. You know, it's frustrating. People say they're going to show up and do something and they don't actually show up. That shouldn't happen.
Eric Bongrip.
We do have a good devoted team in place that are working quite hard, though. And our office is just next door here downtown. I'm going to be doing another tour around the province starting in probably mid-June. Got to work out the details on that. I'm hoping to get a bus, but it's proving challenging to get a good bus lined up.
Sensible bus.
But you know, if you're not following us on Facebook, we got over 26,000 fans on Facebook now, and considering that over 90% of those people actually live in BC, that's what we really want, BC fans. I mean, anybody can fan the page, but that also is building up a good base of support there as well. People are getting educated and getting involved in this campaign. So, you know, like many others, I was hoping for an NDP victory, but Sensible BC campaign is a nonpartisan campaign. It's not about NDP or Green or Liberal or Conservative. It's about people who want to change the marijuana laws. Whatever your other beliefs are, whatever your political affiliation is, it's about decriminalizing marijuana in British Columbia and at the provincial level across Canada. That's the way we're going to change these laws. It's going to be at the provincial level by decriminalizing, by taking a stand, by telling our police to stop wasting taxpayer dollars busting people for marijuana possession. If we can do that provincially, it will end the war on cannabis in Canada.
Awesome, Dana. Thanks for coming on again.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Do you want a bong rip too?
No, I'm gonna pass.
All right.
I like the bongs, but that thing always makes me cough my lungs out a bit. But so I'm a little quiet today. I'm a little sleepy today. I've been working a lot the last couple of days, but I'm just recuperating from this election madness or whatever.
Kidding.
But you know, don't be discouraged. We can make this happen. I still feel very confident that that Sensible BC has a pretty good chance of getting through. Mm-hmm. But it's not up to me at this point. I got a lot of work to do. But ultimately, it's whether others want to buy into this dream and get involved. It's whether other people out there in BC and across Canada will buy into this idea that we can change the laws in BC. Whether they'll put a little bit of time and effort into it. It doesn't take a lot. I mean, you can put a lot into it, but even an hour a week is a lot. To put that amount of time in to make this happen, you know. And there's a lot you can do sitting on your ass at home in front of your computer as well. But there's certainly a lot you can do on foot talking to people. And even if you don't want to get out and campaign, talk to your parents, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your coworkers. Don't have to say, I smoke pot and I love it. Just say, well, hey, you heard about that marijuana referendum campaign? What do you think about that? You know, are you going to support that? What do you think? And like, just be people talking about it. Mention Sensible BC. Bring it up. Talk to your friends and family. Get the word out there. It takes regular people talking to other people. That's how these things happen. And if you don't live in BC, and I know a lot of our audience does not, talk to your friends out there about what you can do in your province. And if you probably got friends in BC, so talk to them as well and see what they can do, and let them know about this campaign. We got to spread the word as much as we possibly can. And social media helps a lot, but just talking to people one-to-one also helps a lot too. And if you want some stuff, contact us. We can also send you buttons and stickers and flyers and things like that. We get a ton of cool graphics on our website. People can download them and post them to Facebook and even on MySpace, if anybody's still there, you know, post them there. Friendster, any of those things.
Tumblr now.
Yeah, whatever, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, put the word out there. Let people know about this campaign. We still have, it takes a long time to penetrate to everybody, and there's still a majority of people in BC who I don't think have heard of what we're trying to do here. But the numbers are growing. The numbers have definitely gone up. A lot of folks are aware. They are following. The word is out. We've been in, I think, 150 newspaper articles since we launched this campaign and other media stories. I've been on TV several times. We've been on the radio lots, and we're going to try to do a lot more. We got some fun things coming up to spread the word. Hey, it's almost 420.
I was just going to say, we're just, oh, there it is. Happy 420, everybody.
Make 420.
Happy 420. Loungers, we're here at 307 West Hastings in the Vapor Lounge. Everybody's puffing down. I see. Steal the lighter. I'm going to take a bong rip out of Duchess here.
You know, I've had this idea to encourage people. There's a lot of oil in my joint. Not just to smoke pot at 420, but to help legalize it at 420. At 420, you know, send off that letter to your politician before you hit the bong, or send off a letter to your newspaper, or even just post in a comment section something positive about Sensible BC or about the change. But don't just make 420 a moment to get high, make 420 a moment to help change these laws. And do both, you know, have a toke, whatever, maybe celebrate your little bit of activism with the puff, but even if you're sitting at home on your computer, send out a couple of emails. There's a lot of things set up that you can do that on the Sensible BC website too. But make 420 a moment of action and not just a moment of having a toke. We can do all those things together.
For sure, man. Awesome, Dana.
All right, that's it. That's my message. Get
Very
involved.
cool.
SensibleBC.ca.
SensibleBC.ca. And all those media clips that you were talking about, you've got a bunch of them actually lined up at SensibleBC.ca, right?
Yeah, if you click on them, we got a big menu bar at the top. You click on Sensible BC in the media, and they're all there. We've got like a lot of stuff, mostly print, but there's a lot of TV clips and video clips and stuff too, and more to come. And you know, we're not the only ones getting in the media talking about this. I mean, Jody's in there all the time. Stop the Violence is doing a lot of good work.
Yep.
But I do believe that the path to get from here to there, it goes through decriminalization and it goes through Sensible BC. Mm-hmm. That's how I see we get to where we want to go. It's not the final stop on the destination, but it's a big step in the right direction.
And we were talking about the election, but we didn't talk about Jody's campaign. Jody did quite well for a Green Party candidate. She actually had 11% of the vote, which was nice.
That's quite substantial.
That's a 2-point
and
raise.
I'm glad that,
from
that
last
her
year.
NDP opponent, Shane Simpson, no, it's not Shane Simpson.
Spencer
Herbert, sorry, yes.
Spencer Chandra
That
Herbert.
he won, because I would have been sad
Yeah, it would
if
have been
Jody had
very-
done really well, but that if the NDP guy there had been defeated, because Spencer Herbert's a great guy. Our dispensary is in his riding. He came there when we opened. He's supported medical marijuana and marijuana access, and he's a good MLA.
Yeah.
But I'm glad Jody got 11%. That's great. Hitting the double digits is awesome.
Yeah.
And she'd be a fine leader for the party as well if that opportunity ever happens. People talk about the NDP and the Liberals merging sometimes federally. I've never seen that, but I've often thought that the NDP and the Greens should have merged a long time ago. And I know it's a challenge to make these things happen, but I wouldn't mind being a Green Democrat. I mean, I like a lot of the Green Party policies, but under our system, which is not a system I would necessarily pick if I was in charge of stuff, under the first past the post system,
Right.
It's all about compromising to get a larger group, to find that point where you can all work together. Right. And having fractured groups, I find there's some differences definitely in NDP and Green Party policy, but 9 out of 10 times we're on the same page.
It's very true.
I'd rather see us working together rather
And
than fighting each other.
in this election, we did see that whole vote splitting. I mean, I hate to call it that or whatever it is. I'm not really so entirely sure that people who vote for the Green Party would necessarily vote for the NDP, though. There's a lot of people in the Green Party who are also the libertarian conservative types who don't like some of the policies of the NDP. But I think that, I mean, if you had, two people who are likely to be against the pipeline, you're going to have the Green Party and the NDP.
Well, there was
People
two
who are likely
parties that were
for it.
really against the pipeline.
Yeah.
There were two parties that for legalizing marijuana in a real way. There were, on most of the big issues of this election, I think the Greens and the NDP had very overlapping policies. There was definitely some differences, but there was more similarity between them than any other groups. And I'd say the same thing federally. Even though the Greens tend to cozy up to the Liberals federally more, I would say, Trudeau's endorsed the Nexon deal. He's endorsed the pipeline. He's in the Kinder Morgan. I think he's endorsed that. I'd say that he's definitely placing himself to the right of the Liberal Party and to the right of that, and trying to hit Harper on that flank.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot in common with the Liberals. With the NDP and the Greens, and I wouldn't mind seeing us merge or unify our forces in some way.
Yeah.
But so that's a question for another day. But,
that's a difficult one.
But I wish that we
don't see that
chose
happening
our
anytime soon.
MLAs and our MPs the same way every single political party in Canada chooses their party leaders. Every party uses a preferential ballot to choose their leaders. Not a single party in Canada uses the first past the post method to choose their leaders. And so it makes sense to me that that's simple, or ranking a ballot. To actually bring in proportional representation in Canada would require constitutional change. It would be a big hassle. But to have a ranked ballot wouldn't require any constitutional change at all. Parliament could do that, or any legislature in the country could do that without constitutional change. And I think that would be a really big change. It would let you vote your conscience and still vote for the party that's sort of got the better chance or whatever. It would really change, I think, our political landscape.
Yeah.
And it's a very easy system to understand. You rank your people you like 1 through 4. It's not very complicated,
right?
Compared to some of the other ones where you've got 2 or 3 MLAs in some districts and others only have 1, and sometimes you're voting for 2 people. Like the one they talked about in BC before was fairly complicated. But
it's just that this first past the post system right now means that people who really don't have a heck of a lot of the popular vote can get a heck of a lot of the
you get
power.
elected by 20% or something. A number of voters that voted for the Liberals was 20%, 25%, something like that. Very small numbers.
And now they have total
then you could
majority
vote,
of the
you
government.
could vote NDP first and Green second, or you can vote Conservative first and Liberal second, or whatever, right? Libertarian, and I don't know. You can vote any party you like and not feel you're throwing your vote away by voting for a smaller party or that may not have a chance. I think that's the easy way to do it. I think it would work well, and we'd like to see that happen. But anyways,
and I
that's
think
separate.
Jody did a great job on her campaign.
That's very good.
It was really, she got a lot of press. It was really about getting the message out there, and she did a great job of that. So it was a very successful thing. Awesome, Dana. Thanks a lot. You can hang out if you want.
I'm gonna go. I got activities and work to do, so
right.
I'm gonna get back on.
Excellent. Well, thanks for coming on as
Yeah,
usual,
good to
Dana.
see you. Right on.
always.
You can have your seat back there. Nice to meet you there, Eric.
Yeah, and we're gonna play some hilarious videos of Rob Ford. Did you hear about that, Dana?
Rob Ford doing crap. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got video.
Weird. The whole thing just seems weird. Like if that's real.
Well, it seems to be real. Like you have 2 journalists from the Toronto Star who, these are serious journalists. They're not fucking around. And you have people from Gawker who have seen the tape as well, and they both verify that it's indeed a person who looks exactly like Rob Ford and sounds like Rob Ford smoking crack out of a crack pipe.
The mayor of Toronto would have enough spare time with nobody else around him. It's the biggest city in Canada. It's a massive place. If he would have time to take off and hang out with his crack smoking buddies.
Well, he is a football coach as well, and people criticize him for taking time out to coach football.
They're running for people. Just to be all. Okay, I'm just gonna take off a couple hours, guys.
The mayor, there goes the mayor. Well, hey, in the middle of the night.
He should be smoking weed. He'd do much better. Probably because there's a new study showing that pot smokers are thinner, and he's been trying to lose weight. So it hasn't necessarily worked for me, but it might work for Rob Ford. But anyways.
There you go.
See you guys later.
All right, Dana. See you later. I don't know how much you guys heard of that, but so we should probably watch some of these Rob Ford videos because it's just too funny. We have 2 CBC videos. Marius, I don't know if you've got those ones. They go in order. The first one comes first, second one goes second, of course. But yeah, this is CBC covering the whole Ford issue that we were just speaking about. Crazy, crack-smoking mayor. He's done all kinds of nutty stuff. So this isn't the first time that he's done something crazy.
It's a bit of a stretch, though, it seems.
Yeah, this one seems crazy, but we'll see when the video comes out, I guess.
Anyways, like I said this morning, these allegations are ridiculous. It's another story with respect to the Toronto Star going after me, and that's all I've got to say for now. So thanks, everybody.
It's the mayor of Toronto denying the latest allegations against him, calling them ridiculous. There are reports a video exists allegedly showing someone who resembles the mayor smoking what looks like crack cocaine. The CBC's Jeff Semple has the latest from City Hall.
Well, Rashmi, I'm here in front of the mayor's office, in fact, at Toronto City Hall, where, as you just saw, he spoke just a few moments ago, flat out denying those allegations, calling it just another example of this Toronto Star trying to get at him. And these are the allegations right here on the front page of the city's largest newspaper. Ford in crack video scandal reads the headline. Now, this story first surfaced online last night on a New York-based blog, Gawker.com. The editor of the blog explained in a posting that someone had approached him trying to sell this video in question, that they wanted $100,000 for the video and that they let him watch the video. Now, the editor says he declined to buy the video but did post an article online explaining what he says the video shows. Now, that prompted the Toronto Star to respond last night, posting their own article, this one here, now on the front page this morning. They say that they were also approached by a man, that 2 of their reporters were allowed to watch this video 3 times, and they explain what they say they saw. 2 of their reporters claim that the video shows someone who appears to be Toronto Mayor Rob Ford smoking what looks like crack cocaine. Now, those reporters, we should note that CBC has not seen this video, and we have not been able to independently verify its authenticity. Certainly a number of the mayor's allies here at City Hall this morning are raising real questions about that, talking about how easy it is to fake a video these days. Now, the Toronto Star reporters also declined to buy that video, but we can tell you, since this story has come to light, receiving coverage across the country, even international coverage here, Rashmi, that a number of websites and campaigns have sprung up, including one from the Province newspaper out in British Columbia, trying to raise money and raise funds, asking people to donate in an attempt to buy this video.
All right, so this has been a rocky term, to put it lightly, for Ford. Tell us about the other allegations he's faced.
Well, you heard him mention off the top that this is just another example of the Toronto Star going after him, and certainly it is no secret that he has had a long-standing feud with this city's newspaper, that they have posted a story even just a couple of months ago alleging that Ford appeared intoxicated and was asked to leave a fundraising event back in February. Ford denied those allegations as well. This is a mayor that's also nearly lost his job through a conflict of interest case. Rashmi, every time he's proven very resilient, always seems to push through despite these allegations. Of course, we'll have to wait and see what happens this time.
Rob Ford, wow. So that was just the reporting about it. Now we're going to watch the actual interview. There's a CBC interview with one of the people from the Toronto Star who actually saw the video. So this next clip's pretty interesting as well. And then when we get back, going to play another video or two and bring on Mr. Marco Renda of Treating Yourself magazine and Glass Culture magazine, also the founder of Treating Yourself Expo. He's coming on the show today to talk about the Treating Yourself Expo next week, May 26th to, or no, what is it, May 24th to 26th? That's what it is. Next Friday starts. We'll be there in Toronto. Okay, well, anyways, play this other Rob Ford video, Marius, if you would. There's a commercial playing. Yeah, there's a lot of internet commercials now on every video out there. It's crazy. Every YouTube video.
They heard the commercial.
Is there another commercial? Oh, they heard. You guys can hear the commercial.
The mayor of
get to hear
Toronto,
awesome
Rob
commercials.
Ford, is denying some serious allegations. There are...
Is it ready yet, Marius? Okay. There you go.
It's ridiculous.
The mayor of Toronto, Rob Ford, is denying some serious allegations. There are reports a video exists allegedly showing someone who resembles the mayor smoking what looks like to be crack cocaine. 2 reporters from the Toronto Star say they've seen that video, and Robin Doolittle is one of them. She joined me in studio last hour.
I, along with my colleague Kevin Donovan, have been reporting on and doing an ongoing investigation about the mayor's alleged substance abuse issues for well over a year and a half. A couple of months ago, we ran a story about his alcohol, his battle with alcohol, and subsequently from that reporting, we came to know about a video that supposedly showed the mayor smoking crack cocaine. So we've been working on that for about 6 weeks. 2 weeks ago, we were able to view the video on an iPhone that belonged to a man who alleges that he sells crack cocaine to the mayor.
Okay, so how do you know that it's actually Rob Ford in that video you saw?
You know, I think when it came to us, all we knew was that there was this supposed video that showed the mayor smoking crack cocaine. We had no expectations. The video stunned us. It shocked us. It is about 90 seconds long. It is crystal clear. We both determined without a doubt that we felt it was Mayor Rob Ford. He's sitting in about a third of the frame. It's shot from only 5 or 7 feet away. He's sitting in daylight. I'm a City Hall reporter. I spent a lot of time watching this man, listening to this man. His voice is very distinct. His mannerisms are very distinct. We were confident that it was Mayor Rob Ford in the video.
Okay, I have to be clear that CBC has not obtained that footage. We cannot verify the authenticity of that footage, but a lot of people, especially on social media right now, international media's picked this up, is asking, why don't you have that footage then? Why can't you prove what your paper has published on the front page today?
So the individuals who shot the video and who are shopping it around wanted $100,000 for it. They came to us saying that they felt that their lives would be in danger, and this is their allegation, or what they were claiming of their reasons why, and they wanted this money that they could fly to Alberta and start a new life. The Star was not prepared to pay $100,000 for this, and you know, our goal was just to see it and then start reporting about it.
Who are these guys?
I mean, it's hard to know. We have been reporting on this for a couple of weeks, so we do know some information. This is part of an ongoing investigation that we'll have more. Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Doug Holliday saying you can't trust drug dealers.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, I'm not trusting drug dealers. I'm trusting my eyes. So I saw this video with my own eyes. Who these guys are, who their motivations are. They've told us some stories. Believe them, don't believe them. I believe my own eyes. Kevin Donovan believes his own eyes, and the Star sticks by its story.
And the Star and Gawker also quoting a lawyer that Rob Ford's obtained, right? Saying, I mean, what's the defense there?
Right. So we spoke with a lawyer named Dennis Morris last night, who he says that the mayor has retained him, that he retained him before the Gawker story came out. Dennis said that, you know, the Gawker story is false and defamatory. We told him that we had also seen it, Kevin Donovan and myself, and we had also seen it. And he said something to the effect, I'm paraphrasing because the quote's out in front of me, how can you know what he was doing if you weren't there? That was his comment to us. And obviously the mayor issued a very short denial later today.
Yeah, and actually saying that it's just the Toronto Star going after him again.
Right.
What does the Toronto Star have to say about that when you hear something like that?
Well, I mean, I'm a news reporter, so I go after the news, and Kevin Donovan is one of the most respected investigative reporters in the country, and he is, of course, entitled to respond any way he likes. I think this is a matter of huge public interest, and I hope that we continue to press him for answers.
Wow. Craziness. Yeah, well, you know, I kind of, I don't know, maybe you shouldn't be smoking crack if you're the mayor. If you can still do your job, you know, it must be hard being the mayor. You need to, you gotta have relaxed somehow, you know. Crack probably isn't really the best drug for a person in charge to be smoking. I'd say try some herb, get him smoking some pot. But, you know, I don't know. Yeah, everybody has their vice, I guess. The mayor himself, Rob Ford, is a notorious asshole and weirdo and, like, says all kinds of crazy stuff. But I sometimes sympathize with him, sometimes feel sorry for him, but I don't know. He's a little too crazy.
Why would a person do crack, though?
Why would they do crack?
And why would
a majority of Americans, 50...
crack? I don't think he would. It doesn't seem like he'd get anything out of it, other than, you know, the high. But, like, he doesn't seem like he's the type, or he's the...
Well, yeah, who knows? I mean, what people are into. He seems like he's probably the type who likes cocaine, and crack is just cocaine, but it's just a crazy ass version of it, or hyped up version. That's like, you know.
Doesn't look like a
cooked
man
up
with a
with
cocaine
ammonia.
problem though.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never tried
little
crack.
big for that.
I've tried cocaine before, that's for sure, but I've never tried crack. And
I think,
I think cocaine's terrible.
He'd be thinner. I think if this
If I
is, definitely if this is
smoke
an
crack,
habitual
yeah,
thing, crack or cocaine.
You think that Rob Ford would have lost a bit of weight?
Yeah. So
I know it does seem a little weird.
could have been his first time. Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, no
Lost
kidding.
a bet. Very, very funny.
No, but I don't know. People, I think, get really addicted to these drugs because they are so addictive, and people have emotional problems or whatever. Rob Ford probably has some emotional problems.
Does he have a history of other
Well, this,
even
you know,
alcoholism?
Toronto Star reporter was saying she's been tracking his substance abuse problems for a year and a half or something. So obviously he's got some issues, but yeah, one way or another. Hi, Holly. Wow, I like your dress. Thank you. Very nice. You can come on the show and have a bong rip too if you want. Oh, do ya? Okay. And Marius, you can feel free to come on and have one anytime too.
Yeah, I gotta work
so
too.
There you go, Rob Ford. And you know, we'll find out, I guess, in the future if that video gets released, if it was really him or not, or maybe it was faked or something. I doubt it. I'm sure it seems too believable, the whole thing. You know, just seems too believable. All right. Well, so a lot of stuff came out this week about the health benefits of marijuana. There's a bunch of stories in the news talking about a bunch of different studies. One of them shows that it looks like I need more marijuana. Yeah, it shows that actual blood pressure decreases and blood sugar decreases. So the study basically shows that smoking marijuana prevents getting diabetes. And so there's some videos about marijuana being the new diet drug. And there's a study that came out that showed that marijuana smokers have a smaller chance of getting bladder cancer than tobacco smokers. That was another study that came out. And a third one was that marijuana helps to stop the feelings of social isolation and depression. So marijuana is good if you have to be by yourself. So there's a bunch of studies. I'll go through some of these studies here, actually. Let's look at one of these ones. Got a few of them up here. Marijuana may cut risk of developing diabetes, according to a study. This is in the Globe and Mail. And this was Paul Taylor at the Globe and Mail, May 15th. Can smoking marijuana reduce your chance of developing diabetes? A U.S. study found that people who imbibed regularly had fewer risk factors for the disease than those who don't smoke it. Indeed, marijuana users appear to have better blood sugar control than abstainers. The findings are based on a group of adults who took part in the National Health and Nutrition Survey that was carried out between 2005 and 2010 by the U.S. Center for Disease Control. A total of 4,657 people answered a drug use questionnaire. Of those participants, 579 were current users, 100 and almost 2,000 were former marijuana smokers, and 2,000 more had never inhaled pot. So, anyways, that's marijuana may cut the risk of developing diabetes. We're gonna watch that video, Marius. Do you have the first one up? It's about the diet, the new diet drug, I think it's called.
Yeah, I have that one.
It's from MSNBC.
Yeah, I have that one. I posted on the front page as well, so it's on Pot
Cool.
TV.
Before we play that, I'll just read from this other study. Now, this is in the Huffington Post. Marijuana linked to lower bladder cancer risk study says people who smoke marijuana may be less likely to get bladder cancer than those who smoke cigarettes, a new study says. Kaiser Permanente researchers compared the risk of bladder cancer in more than 83,000 men who smoked cigarettes only, marijuana only, or both substances, USA Today reported. The men were aged 45 to 69 and they were examined over 11 years. And cannabis use was associated with a 45% reduction in bladder cancer incidences, and tobacco use was associated with a 52% increase in bladder cancer. An increase, and one was a reduction by 45%. So that's a crazy study. Look into that one. Bladder cancer, lowering the risk of it. And then this is another one. This article is from Raw Story. Study finds marijuana buffers against negative psychological effects of social exclusion. Research published online May 14th in Social, Psychological, and Personality Science, that's the name of the journal, has uncovered that marijuana buffers people from experiencing social pain. prior work has shown that the analgesic acetaminophen, so there's another type of drug which acts indirectly through CB1 receptors, reduces pain of social exclusion. The current research provides the first evidence that marijuana also dampens the negative emotional consequences of social exclusion on negative emotional outcomes, according to Timothy Deckman of the University of Kentucky. So there's a few of them. Yeah, there's the actual study online available too. This is from the University of Kentucky. Can marijuana reduce social pain? Timothy Deckman. Marius, do you want to play that video now? Mm-hmm. And then we'll come back and then we'll play one more video about marijuana and health. Go for it.
A majority of Americans, 52%, favor legalizing the use of marijuana. There has been an across-the-board increase in support in legalizing marijuana over the past 3 years. Republican support increased by 13 points from 24 to 37. Democratic support increased by 11 points from 48 to 59. Medical marijuana is currently allowed in 18 states and the District of Columbia. And now comes a study suggesting that marijuana could have beneficial health effects beyond pain relief. Joining me now, one of the authors of that study, Dr. Murray Middleman of Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center in Boston. Doctor, what are your key findings in this study?
Well, in this study, we had data available from the National Health and Nutrition Survey, which is a study that's done by the CDC on an ongoing basis. And in a survey of about 4,500 adults, they were asked about their marijuana use, and just under 600 were current users of marijuana. We looked at their ability to handle carbohydrates, so the ability of the body to handle sugar and how well the body metabolizes it. And what we found was that among current users, so these are people who used marijuana in the last 30 days, there was an improvement in their metabolism so that their fasting insulin level was lower. They had less insulin resistance than non-users. Their good cholesterol was a little bit higher, about three points higher. And their waist circumference was skinnier a little bit on average, about just about an inch narrower than the non-users. And this was after adjusting for other differences between the users and the non-users.
All right, doctor, there's your headline right there, marijuana, the new diet drug. If you've got something that makes waists narrower, that's a whole new direction for marijuana.
Yes, there are several prior studies actually have indicated that that marijuana users tend to be leaner, despite the fact that they do tend to consume more calories.
And more brownies, as I understand it.
Yes, that could be the form. Although in this study, I think they were asked specifically about smoked marijuana, but it's an interesting question about whether the form in which it's taken in makes a difference. One of the caveats I would say about our findings is that it was based on self-report, and really at this stage we need much more solid research, including experimental studies, to really provide doctors with the evidence base to make recommendations now that we have medical marijuana approved in 19 regions in the country.
Dr. Murray Middleman of the Harvard School of Public Health gets tonight's last word. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
All right. So, puff that down. It's good for you. A toke a day keeps the doctor away. Yeah, so there you go. And it keeps you skinny, it says. Their waistlines were thinner. There you go. And we eat more, we munch out more, and yet we're still skinnier. What's that, Holly? Boost your metabolism, exactly. Do you want to come on, Holly, and hang out? You don't have to if you don't want to. But you look so nice in that red dress. Do ya? Well, that's 15 minutes of hanging. Hell yeah, you should come and take a bong rip. For sure. You can come and sit down. Make Eric scooch the fuck over. Hi, Holly.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
It's going good. Holly Bear, which is actually your real name.
I know. Well, Holly Brown Bear, if you want to get all technical.
Holly Brown Bear?
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, well, here's a rip for Holly Brown Bear.
I'm sorry, I don't think I've met you yet.
Eric.
Holly, nice
Holly.
to meet you.
And Holly, you've been on my show before.
Yes, I have. I was actually talking about the Herb Museum, which is where I'm going to start work in like 15 minutes.
That's right.
I like not to be too high while I'm there because I kind of got to remember information and stuff, but for you.
How's the Herb Museum going? You guys had an art auction last night actually in the building?
We did, but I was working at yoga, so
yeah. You work at a yoga place as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to find out today, I guess, how that all went.
They say I'm a bud pusher.
Yeah, but we actually just opened a Facebook page, so if you want to check out a little bit of information about what we're all about, just type in the Herb Museum onto Facebook, and we should be the first ones to pop up.
The Herb Museum. Yeah, and the website, there's also herbmuseum.ca.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's only, what, $5 to get in or something to go for a tour of the Herb Museum, and you get to use the vaporizer there and hang out. It's just like coming to the Vapor Lounge, but you just give it to them and stuff.
There's actually a half-hour option as well. If you just want to come and get a quick tour, it's $2.50 per person for half an hour. Or if you want to stay for the full hour and use the vaporizer, it's $5 per person per hour.
There you go. So $2.50 for half an hour. Cheap. Yeah, and the Herb Museum is absolutely fantastic. It's just packed with information. If you guys haven't been down here to check it out before and you're from Vancouver, you got to come check it out because it's so totally awesome.
Yeah, we have lots of different rooms. The first 3 rooms are actually all free to like browse around. We have our art room, which has all of the different local artists, and it all has to do with herbs as well. And then we have the invisible drug room, so stuff like coffee, tea, chocolate. And then the last free room is the mushroom and hemp room. And that's pretty cool because it has all of our medicinal and edible mushrooms, but all of our psychoactive mushrooms are in the back area, which is included in the $2.50 or $5 tour. Right. And that's where all of our psychoactive information is, so anything that would make a trip out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And David Malmo-Levine is the curator and has done a totally amazing job of putting it all together. And there's tons of like old cannabis bottles and artifacts throughout history about pot.
Yeah, like we have some bottles that are older than 100 years old. It's pretty cool.
David is quite the collector.
Oh yeah,
and he has he has a library at his house.
Actually,
that is
yeah,
just massive.
I went there recently for the first time, and I couldn't believe it. It was just like every wall was just a bookshelf.
Books. He's got a crazy library. It's huge.
Anyway, well, thanks for having me on my show.
Thanks for coming on, Holly.
Is this your lighter?
That is my lighter.
It matches my dress.
I know, I was just thinking that. How was your bong rip?
Oh, that was delicious. Do you know what kind it is, or just whatever weed?
I can't remember what it was, honestly.
You said that last time.
Texada.
Who knows? Yeah. It was good. That's all that matters.
There's just a little bit left, and I'm going to take that bong rip myself. Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Holly, for coming on. Appreciate it. Have fun at the herbmuseum.ca. Holly Brown Bear in the red dress. They're saying bye, Holly. All right, so I guess we should continue with our videos here. I'm just going to skip the last medical video, and we're going to jump right to the Treating Yourself Expo. I just wanted to play a video from the Treating Yourself Expo a couple years ago that I made. Marius, will you load up the Treating Yourself Expo video? Oh, that's it. Did they hear that? Okay. Ah, there you go. Marius is giving you guys a little audio preview there.
I was expecting the other video, so it was all ready to go.
Right.
And then Holly came to say bye, and then
It all fell apart. Marius is too high again. I'm not sure when he's not too high.
There we go.
Really. Seems like consistent.
Yeah, you too. Oh, yeah.
Okay, we'll throw that video on, then Marius will watch it, and then on the other side we'll have Marco Renda of Treating Yourself Expo on the show.
sorts of different seeds from either like the seed bank, which I think there's like 30 something, and then you can talk to the seed breeder, actually the guy who makes the seed, the company. It's like talking to the CEO of that breed, so you can find out the seeds that you want. It's been unbelievable, you know, that all these seed breeders are here to talk to learn about their genetics, to learn about their methods, to learn about their seeds directly, which has like expanded my mind dramatically. It's been a great experience. I think Treating Yourself magazine has done a fantastic job putting this on.
You know, cannabis merchandisers from all over the world, not just in Canada, but we got every country who's, you know, doing big things in the cannabis movement here representing, you know, all the Dutch seed companies, all the great Canadian companies who've been active in doing their part here, and a lot of Americans coming up and enjoying the event, and a lot of American attendees, and even from all over the world attendees this year, Marco Renda has been telling me. So it's a great event. You know, the Metro Convention Center, you know, we're going mainstream with this stuff. So you get 10,000 people on a Saturday all filing through this convention center. It's a great thing for our movement.
We've had a phenomenal time, second year in a row. You know, the unification here, the vibe here, the electricity that went on all weekend long. I just can't say enough about it. We doubled our attendance. All the vendors were extremely happy, and we've been told that we're getting even more vendors next year that just came to visit the show because they saw last year wasn't so, and then they saw how I blew it up this year, and he says, we're damn gonna be here, we're not gonna miss it. And all the activists that were here, everybody working together as one. LEAP, you know, Patients at a Time, we have the POCOA, we have, you know, End Prohibition, Why Prohibition, Cannabis Culture, Free Market, and all of it down here. The speakers like Irv Rosenfeld, you know, one of the 4 remaining patients that gets 300 pre-rolled joints from the U.S. federal government. That in itself should tell you, governments are sick. When they can ship 300 joints to someone and then turn around and get the DEA to raid dispensaries and say that cannabis isn't medicine, they're full of shit.
Who else was here, Marco? Tell me more about the event.
Well, we had the Boys Canada Fresh, Formula 420, Advanced Nutrients, medicalmarijuana.ca from BC, Maple Leaf Plant Products. We got the Herbal Air, we got the Volcano. Oh yeah, the Vapor Lounge. I've never seen it so damn busy. You couldn't find a seat in there. A 4,200 square foot Vapor Lounge, and you can't even find this chair. So that in itself should say something.
Inhale, keep it in for about 20 seconds.
obviously a major success. Does the planning for next year start already?
It's starting tomorrow. As soon as I get to my office, we start, because May 24th to 27th is the 3rd annual Treating Yourself Expo. Come on up and join us and help us help you make marijuana legalized.
I'm gonna do this bong rip.
And we're back.
Well, that was the Treating Yourself Expo. That was from a couple years ago. And we have Marco Renda on the line. Hey, Marco, I'm just about to hit the bong here.
Hey, how you doing, Jeremiah?
Doing all right, hitting Dutchess.
Oh man, you guys are still hitting those flowers. You know, at Faith on the Lake, it's always dab-a-dab-a-do time.
Oh, yeah, the dabbing. Oh, actually, yeah, I have this, it's all about the dabs these days. Everywhere it's the dabs, dabs, dabs. I have the cover of High Times here in my hand. Dabs, pot's most powerful high. Yeah, there's a lot of new, Marco, there's a lot of information, and I was just reading an article. There's a new dabber madness, like reefer madness. And I was reading some article saying, oh, now it's actually possible to overdose on marijuana. And they were quoting some other article that said a guy had fallen down after taking a dab because he fainted and cracked his head open on the pavement and died. And so they were saying that was a marijuana overdose, death by marijuana overdose. But to me, that's ridiculous. That's like a heroin junkie stumbling into traffic and then saying that's a heroin overdose. It's not quite the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing whatsoever. And put it this way, I know for a fact anyone that starts doing any kind of dabs for the first time, they're not going to do a huge dab. They're going to do something tiny. Being a lounge owner, I see it all the time. You know, like, yeah, there's people that do green out. Is it overdosing? No, because they're not dead.
Yeah.
They don't go into comas or convulsions. Sure, you know, listen, it's like drinking alcohol. If you drink too much alcohol, you're going to puke. So they're going to wash them puke. You know, they eat, and then when they eat something, they get the orange juice, chocolate bar, they're all fine.
Yeah, exactly. And
You know,
people
no
have been greening
hangover.
out for a long time. This isn't something new to dabs. This has been happening since
No.
people have been smoking. So
Yeah.
yeah, people green out all the time. We have green out tents at all of our rallies because it's inevitable that somebody's going to green out in the crowd from just eating maybe a brownie even or something, you know?
Yeah, you know, people that are just overdo it, you know, that don't know the difference. Like people who eat too many cookies at one time, they're thinking, oh, I don't feel any effects, so because they're expecting it right away. Like if they're smoking a joint or doing a dab, they don't realize that, you know, it can take 40 minutes to an hour for these things to affect you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's harder to titrate things like edibles because it takes a long time to kick in. Well, so Marco, I wanted to bring you on today because next week we have the Treating Yourself Expo coming up here. This is your big expo every year you've had for the past now 4 years, isn't it?
Yeah, this is year 4.
Nice. And this one is going to be bigger than ever, you say, or better than ever. You've got a ton of new stuff going on.
Let me tell you, Jeremiah, based on advanced ticket sales, we've already doubled last year's total on online tickets.
Wow.
And when I was speaking to my show manager today, he said to me, in the 30 years that he's been doing trade shows and consumer shows, never has there been a show that has doubled its advanced ticket sales from one year to the next. So he says he's waiting to see what happens at the gate. But there's a lot of buzz. You know, we're doing TV commercial on 2 channels with one of them is a health channel, One Vision, One Mind, Body Soul, and the other one is Vision TV. And you know, my wife, she loves watching EastEnders. So here it comes, we're watching EastEnders, and you know, sure enough, the Treating Yourself Expo, you know, commercial comes on.
Wow, I want to see those
know,
commercials. You said you'd be able to send those to me, maybe.
Yeah, I'll send that to you. You know,
Nice.
and then on Q107, the Edge radio, we got 2 other radios, like 5 stations altogether. I'm anticipating this year is just going to just blow everybody's mind, because just with the glass artist that's coming on, it's never been done in North America. The amount of talented glass blowers that are going to be present under one roof for a public event. Yes, it's been done with trade shows and stuff like that, but never ever for a public event. And the hype that's going through online, through all the groups that I'm seeing, I wouldn't be surprised if over $1 million in glass gets sold or purchased, however you want to put it, at the expo over the 3 days.
Wow, yeah, so you're taking a little bit different of an approach, like incorporating the glass so heavily, because you do have the glass blowing. Last year you had that glass blowing there as well. This year it's going to be pretty cool.
This year I'm bringing in a team from Japan, we have a team from Canada, and we have a team from the U.S.
Very cool.
In addition to 16 or 18 other glass artists that, we have an extra station that if they want to, come on and go on the torch, which a lot of them said that they want to do. So it is going to be a phenomenal event. There is 3 vehicles in the show this year. One of them is an antique vehicle, one of them is a Hummer, and one of them is a souped-up vehicle from Project 33 that Marcel Braun has put together.
Cool.
So, we have the hydroponic industry is huge in the expo this year, something that's never been done. As you know, Jeremiah, they've always been saying, with the maximum yield shows, it's never been cannabis. It's always been about tomatoes and flowers and stuff.
Yeah.
Now they're seeing that, they're coming out of the closet, so to speak, that these nutrient companies saying, we want to support this. This is where it's at. And, hey, let's face it, the Treating Yourself Expo brings in, like last year, 14,000, 15,000 people over the 3 days. This year we're anticipating well over 20,000.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's excellent to hear that it's so popular already, man. Yeah, and because it was pretty packed last year, as far as I remember, at least on some of the later, like Friday and Saturday nights.
And I think I've condensed the hours as well. I've done it 10 to 6 for all 3 days. And I did that for 2 reasons. One, it brings people to want to be there before it closes, not wait to the last minute. And 2, it gives the vendors and the attendees and the artists a chance to really get together outside of because the after-hour parties this year is really great. We got like the Friday night party at the Fountain Blue on the C&E grounds. The Saturday night we're over at the Mod Club on College Street. So we got VIPs. Will have their dinner, and then we're going to open it up to everyone. After the dinner hour. Like on a Friday night we got like an open bar. So like we're just generating. We want it to be the people to be mingled together, unlike the other years.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot lined up. Marco, when you first were coming up with this idea, or when you first, before you were just publishing Treating Yourself magazine, why did you want to put on this expo? I guess this was really the first big one. It's really the only one we have in Canada. So how did you come up with this concept? You had obviously been going to other expos and just wanted to do it here kind of thing, or tell us about that.
Well, when I brought this to Canada, it's always been, it's never been I wanted to do this on my own. It just happened that way. There's a group on the forum, online. It's a group of activists, and I put it out there, and nobody took took the reins or wanted to, everybody says, yeah, but nobody, it's a lot of money, and it costs between $500,000 and $600,000 to put on an event of this nature. So people just maybe thought it's, 10, 20, 30,000. I don't know what people were thinking, but it's a lot of involvement. So it was brought on one of the forums, and it was just never got done. So, I've kept continually going to the events, speaking at events all over the world, and I finally said, okay, let's do it. Let's just dive, head first and go and do it. And nobody thought that I would succeed in getting the Metro Toronto Convention Centre because it is a government building. Nobody thought I would really get to have cannabis used on site. People thought, okay, he's gonna, once I got the building, once I got the lounge, everybody said, okay, it's gonna get raided. People are gonna get busted. None of that's ever happened, and it's because of my supporters in, international supporters, especially from Treating Yourself magazine, that it continues to be, a strong force. And now with Glass Culture magazine and adding the glass feature to it, it's building a bridge in between the two cultures.
So, Marco, tell people about Glass Culture magazine. Now, of course, you started by publishing Treating Yourself magazine, which is about using cannabis for medical purposes. And then Glass Culture magazine is, of course, a magazine about bongs and pipes and other beautiful glass works.
Yeah, it's about functional and non-functional glass. We go into talking about marbles, pendants, millies. We talk about the various events in the U.S., like I said, the trade events that happen. And again, for Glass Culture, it in itself is trying to bridge a gap between the soft glass, the borosilicate glass artists, the milli collectors, the bead makers. There's just like within the cannabis movement, it's all fragmented. The social user, the closet user, the medical user. The same is, you can see the same about the glass community. And I'm trying to meld everybody together as one, and also meld the glass community with the cannabis community, because everybody who collects glass isn't necessarily a cannabis user, and all cannabis users don't necessarily appreciate glass.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of people don't even like bongs and pipes at all. They just like to roll and smoke joints.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, everybody's into different things. So, no, it's kind of a cool concept, and there isn't anything really like that. There's no glass bong magazines. There's no, no heady glass magazines or anything. Or that are there now? I'm sure there must be in the U.S., but not in Canada.
Well, there used to be Glass Affection, and that's Toke City. Don from Toke City. It's no longer in print, and it's not even online. And then you have Hot Breath magazine, but then that again, it's not just glass, and it's based to the trade, like the retail outlets.
Yeah.
So the only real publication for the glass enthusiasts is Glass Culture. Even within you have like the Flow magazine, which is an excellent magazine for the flame, the glass blower or lamp worker, however you want to call it, with their tutorials and such. And Glass Culture is going to get into that. We're really getting involved with a lot of the artists. We're getting involved with a lot of the collectors. It's a community thing, and you're going to see the explosion in Canada of artists coming up and showing their things, and Canadian artists working together. I just see great things happening with Canadian artists. Like look at Corey Cotton.
Right. Yeah, I know. There's a bunch of amazing glass blowers here in Canada. Big shouts out to Redbeard, as always.
Redbeard is promoting his Canadian Glass Gathering at the Expo. So, I look forward to seeing him again and sponsoring his event.
Yeah, Redbeard's awesome. He's done a great bong he just made a great bong for me. I haven't had it on the show for a while, actually. It's at my house. I need to bring it back in. You just don't want to move it around too much because it's so fragile and sweet.
And have you seen the Roar, the new Roar rigs that they put together?
No, I haven't seen.
Yeah, we've started Glass Culture. We've put together a deal with Roar that we're giving away in each issue of the magazine a complete Roar kit. So Treating Yourself, concentrates on the medical user. We're giving away the Roar vaporizers, and Glass Culture, we're doing the dab thing.
That's cool, man. And so you're giving away a piece every issue, is that what you said?
Every issue. It's not just a piece. It comes in with a dish. It comes with a bowl. With a slide. So if you want to use it as a bong, you can use it as a bong. If you want to use it as a rig for oil butter, you can do that as well.
Yeah.
And it comes in its own nice aluminum briefcase.
Cool. I actually have a question from the chat here, Marco. They're asking about the vaping area. This is Z in the chat. Will it be much larger this year than last year?
Well, the Vapor Lounge this year, we have the Dab Avenue, like Electric Avenue. Well, we got the Dab Avenue. We got the boys from Temple with their electric nails going to be in the Vapor Lounge. We have Roar. We have the Verdamper going to be there. We have the Herbal Air is going to be there. So it's bigger. A surprise, I might as well let you know. I have a DJ, good friend of mine, that normally does the Barney's Up Down in Amsterdam for the High Times Cannabis Cup. Well, he's going to be in Toronto in the Vapor Lounge at the TY Expo doing his thing. So there's going to be live. There's going to be music in there. So yeah, we're pumping it up. We're stepping it up a notch. Believe it or not. Every year we're just keep making it that much better. Everybody that can prove that they have any type of illness, so any kind of prescription bottle, a puffer, will get them in the lounge. They don't have to be a federal exemptee. This expo is open to everyone. The only reason there's rules and regulations for the Vapor Lounge is because the MTCC puts that in it, So I got to bend some way. So if it makes it that somebody has to show some sort of proof of illness, that's just a little small price to pay. But both you and I know that there's other locations at the convention center where everybody gets together and can medicate.
That's right.
Or have a good time,
It's not just the Vapor Lounge.
It's not just the Vapor Lounge. We get to watch trains go by.
That's right. That's very true. I love coming to the Treating Yourself Expo. I think it's great out there because there's a lot of friends there. A ton of people from the movement show up there. Pretty much everybody from Canada does show up, or at least has over the past 4 years. That's a big part of this movement, at least the people who have businesses related to cannabis or activist groups. So yeah.
And we do know CBC and CTV have told my PR people that they're intending on coming and checking out the expo for their news. I have my professional crew going to be, doing its videotaping and uploading it to the for news media to be able to upload. We've had 18 Fox News networks for the past 3 years upload our video footage. So we're doing something right. We're putting it forth as a professional venue. It's not in some bar, dimly lit. It's in a government-owned facility, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Yeah,
and listen, what better? Toronto, maybe Vancouver, but seriously, Toronto is one of the best areas to have something like this. And we are working seriously towards BC, and we are looking at Vancouver. We do have a venue that is more than willing to accommodate us, and they know what I do here. It's not going to be hidden as a health show. It's going to be the Treating Yourself Expo. It's the date. This is the only thing that we're negotiating on right now. It's very hard. What people don't understand is it's very hard to get the dates that are needed because there's so many conventions going on.
That's right.
All over. And I'm pretty sure you guys know that, in BC, especially in Vancouver, you're going to have all kinds of conventions. It's not just, and a lot of times you don't hear about it because they're professional conventions. But they bring in a lot of money and tourism dollars to the city.
That's right. And actually, here in Vancouver, there is an expo planned for Vancouver by Med, Mark, and Remo. I guess are putting it together, and that's the Vancouver Health Expo at the PNE, and it's at the same time as the Kush Cup. So it's going to be a marijuana-related expo. I'm not sure exactly how marijuana, how much marijuana and how much health it's going to be, but.
Well, I support Mark, I support Sandy and Remo, and I told them anything I could do to help them, I'm there. I am going to be one of the sponsors of the Kush Cup, so there's no hard feelings there. I believe the more the merrier. The only thing that I don't agree with, and I've told this to Sandy and Remo and Mark, and I understand why they're doing it, is calling it a health show. And the only reason is because the PNE has their head up their ass, and they wouldn't accept it as a marijuana event.
Yeah.
So they have to be very careful on how many booths that they have representing cannabis, because the PNE will. I know how these trade and convention centers are, and they dot their I's or they cross their T's, and they're very stringent. So I'm going to help them. I hope that they get it off the ground and continue to do it. And so this way there'll be 2 shows in BC, no problem. And I welcome more shows in Ontario. I welcome more shows in Toronto. I want there to be. If you look at the cannabis publication industry in North America, you will see Treating Yourself isn't the only one. There's quite a few of them in the U.S. And if you talk to the publishers and the people that put these publications out, they were all pretty much, inspired by what I was doing in the medical. And a lot of them, I just handed over my marketing list. Because I believe that all businesses should have equality, and they should all have an equal ground. And there's no problem with what do you call it, competition. Listen, if you have 20 medical publications out there, you're going to have businesses that are going to support it because it's in their local area. So
Right.
they're hoping to support a local business. But then you're going to have the international one. And if you look at the international publication business in cannabis, all these seed companies advertising all of them. There's just so much money out there that these companies are making. They have no problem in advertising in all the publications out there, as long as the publication that is putting forth something of quality.
That's right, and I say more the merrier as well. And of course, I mean, it's this way for us, and Marco, I know it's the same way for you. A lot of this is about activism. It's not just about some business.
No.
The business is there to support the activism, not the other way around. So you've dumped, a lot of your own money into this and lost a lot of money on many projects over the years, trying to make a profit in a lot of ways. But, I mean, that's part of it. Same with Mark Emery on our side here. A lot of it is about subsidizing the activism, spending, sometimes millions of dollars on it.
For sure. People say to me, well, how can you continue to do it? Well, I don't know for how much longer I can continue to do it, out of my own pocket. But, I'm looking at it. Treating Yourself has been in print now going on, it's in 9 years going on 10. The Expo, it's in year 4. They already laid a solid foundation. And I see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, and let's face it, is it all about money? It's not. It's about educating people. And as long as I can continue to educate an individual, if I could educate them and they were a naysayer and now they're on our side, that's one more vote for us. And the more I do home shows, travel shows, woman shows, non-cannabis related events, the more people I'm going to educate. And it's not just me, and when I say me, it's me and my team. It's my team of volunteers. The great folks from PACE. Al Graham and his team of volunteers, I tell you, they're troopers. They're daily in and out. You know, they come every year. They're at the expo. Every year they want to be. There's more and more people that want to come on board. Because when they go to these events, you know what they're learning? People want to know information. And people are approaching them differently. And you got people crying to them. Like, it's unbelievable, the transformations that we're seeing in people. It's not like a pot rally. It's totally different. Because they're coming to you. You're not, like, preaching to the choir or anything. It's seeing the people that are, who wouldn't normally come and talk to someone, you know, who wouldn't normally come to our rallies.
Yeah. And it's a place to get one-on-one information in depth about a topic, rather than just, a pot rally is about chanting slogans and showing force to the city and to everybody in a sort of outburst of mobilized collective energy. But yeah, these expos are more about showcasing a lot of what the cannabis movement actually has to offer. And that includes a lot of information about medical marijuana and all of the facets of that industry, and that sort of activist side of things as well. So there's tons of great information at the Treating Yourself Expo, and not only that, but tons of, get introduced to all kinds of products and other things like that as well.
Well, you know the folks, Keith and Debbie Fagan from Calgary 420?
Yeah, for sure.
They're doing a phenomenal job in Calgary, Alberta. And Keith says to me, he says, Marco, I learned from you. Go to the home shows. Go to the health shows. Go to shows that we're the only ones there. Make them listen to us. Or ask us why we're there.
Yeah, that's right. And that's how you really get out there, because this is where people do collect that information. So, and Marco, you've gone to a ton of these expos all overseas for years, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you...
spoken at many of them.
Do you aspire to have the Treating Yourself Expo to be like any of the other ones? Which are some of the ones that you like a lot?
Well, I like to say, take a little bit of everything, take a little bit of everyone. For instance, Cannabis. It's lively. Now it's what, 10th, 11th year, and it's basically grown. It's outgrown itself. You have to. It's a waiting list to get in as a vendor. You take Cultiva from Vienna, Austria. There you got the professional building, the cleanliness, the city, the nature, just the surroundings. Because when you're talking about Cannabis in Spain and Barcelona, it's a great event and everything, but you have to watch. The unemployment there is so drastic, so the thievery, if it's not nailed down, it gets stolen. But it's a great event. The one in Vienna, like I said, it's a more professional atmosphere. It's a totally combined. They're great. And then you got your High Times events, and then you have the High Life Soft Secrets events that used to be on at the Rye. And that's what really, when I went to the Rye in Amsterdam, and I went to the Weed World event in Telford, and I saw these, I was inspired. I said, how come we don't have any of this in Canada? And I was in the industry for 14 years prior to going to these events, doing trade and consumer shows as a lead generator, or when I was in the travel industry and going to the travel events for travel agents. I'm saying, wow, why don't we have this in Canada? what, you know, and when I brought it up on one of the forums, everybody's saying, yeah, but it took 5 years for it to really happen.
Yeah.
Really should have happened 5 years ago, 9 years ago, not
Well,
now. Not
as
just,
you
but
said
this
before-
should be year 9, not year 4.
It costs a lot of money, though.
Yeah.
And yeah, and fortunately we had somebody like you who was able to collect the resources to make it happen. But
Well, being $1 million in debt doesn't put a smile on my face. But let's face it. You know, you can't take it with you.
well, that's true. I like your philosophy on that one. All right, Marco. Well, thanks a lot for coming on the show today, and we're going to be coming out to see you real soon there in Toronto. It'll be, I guess, Wednesday that we leave, so I'll see you on Thursday.
Well, I hope you guys are coming to the artist meet and greet at the Not Just Marbles Gallery.
What day is that on?
That's Thursday night at between 5 and 7.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we will. And Marco, we're going to be broadcasting live. You and I already talked about this, and you said that I have your permission to do this. We're going to be doing a live broadcast to Pot TV from the Treating Yourself Expo, and we've actually got our booths right at the back of where the glass blowing area is there. I think it's booth 334.
Yeah, you're right across. You're directly across from glass blowing.
Yeah.
You're right across from Sexy, the Project 33 Marcel Braun put together.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, that whole area should be cool. It's right at the back where Activist Alley is. It's going to be fun. We're going to be broadcasting. We're going to be moving around in the room all over the place. But, yeah, that should be interesting. We've got the whole internet connection thing hooked up, but should be fun. And we'll be interviewing. I'll try and get you. You're always hard to get a hold of when you're there running around. But hopefully we'll have you on Pod TV and maybe even featuring some of the stuff that you like or something like that.
Oh, I'd be happy to.
That'd be awesome. Excellent, Marco.
And
Thanks.
I hope you guys attend some of the VIP parties.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be coming to the parties for sure. I'll do my best to get the Princess, Jody, and Karina out to the parties. I'll be there. I'll do my best, my friend.
Okay, well, you take care, and I look forward to seeing you guys next weekend.
And people can find out more at treatingyourself.com, or is it treatingyourself.ca?
It's treatingyourselfexpo.com.
treatingyourselfexpo.com. That's where you can find out. And about Treating Yourself magazine, what's the regular website?
It's treatingyourself.com, and for Glass Culture, it's glassculturemagazine.com. And just so you know, for both Treating Yourself magazine and Glass Culture, you can download all previously published issues as a PDF in PDF format for free.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Marco, for coming on. Always great having you here. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Jeremiah, and I look forward to seeing you guys.
Yeah, you too, Marco. We'll see you in a week.
Bye-bye.
Marco Renda, Treating Yourself magazine. I'm excited about the expo. You're not going. No. Sad about that? Yeah. It could be funny just have you doing like mime stuff on the side, like sad faces, happy faces. Yeah, exactly. Here, I can give you a microphone if you want.
Sorry, keep your position to where the mic's stable. Like pretend you're a singer because really we're getting like fading out, fading in, fading
Sorry,
out.
Marius.
I can't keep up in time.
Well, I'm glad to have you.
Now it's good.
Awesome.
No, now it's bad. Now it's good.
That's right. Move around too much. Okay, well, that was cool. Yeah, Marco's always great. And I'm excited to see what he's got in store for the next Treating Yourself, number 4. Well, what time is it here? 5:30. Lordy. All right. I did have some other videos here. Yeah, we should play these. I think we should play these because they're cool. First one I wanted to play, well, I wanted to actually talk about this story. I need more popcorn sublimation, says the chat. No, I wanted to talk about what's going on in Latin America. And Marius posted a story on the front page of Cannabis Culture earlier, aggregated a story about the editor of the narco blog in Mexico, which is a very popular blog down there. And she, I guess, revealed herself as a woman. First of all, she revealed herself. Everybody thought she was a dude, but she came out with a book, and then I guess somehow they found her partner, and her partner called her up and just gave the code word run. And so she is on her way. She's now in Spain or something, hiding, and hopefully the Mexican drug dealers don't find her. If they, I guess, found her friend, or who knows, her friend's gone missing and nobody can find him. So, and he was the tech guy. Who knows, maybe they tracked him down through the internet or something. Marius, you posted that story. Any comments? You post a lot of stories about what's going on in Latin America. Pretty harsh going on down there. That drug war down there is really taking its toll on the population in ways that are a little more extreme than what's happening up here, maybe.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of fear, and especially in journalism, there's no journalists willing to report it. Obviously, this exemplifies the reason why that is.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's really sad, and it just shows why
it's dangerous to be a journalist.
Prohibition is dangerous.
Yeah, these gangs have a lot to gain from shutting people up. They don't want these blogs talking about their activities and bringing attention to them. Sometimes maybe they do because they like to have that fear pumped into other people. But if they don't control them, they don't like them.
Well, even the media in practically everywhere is, vested to special interests that they're terrified of.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Even Noam Chomsky is suspected of not going all the way with his reporting because of fear of the CIA might kill him if he started raising stuff about the Kennedy assassination or 9/11. So it's everywhere. As long as thugs rule the world.
Oh yeah, it's dangerous to tell the truth.
It's dangerous.
Look at what
exactly.
Gary Webb. If people don't know about the reporting that he did about the CIA's involvement in the drug trade, he ended up committing suicide by shooting himself twice in the back of the head.
Oh yes, I remember you were talking to me about that.
That's remarkable.
So these things still happen.
So I thought that was a really harsh story. You can find that on the front page of cannabisculture.com right now. And Marius, we have a video about the Latin American drug war and how the United States government is, certain corporations in the United States are making billions of dollars off of this by selling guns and weapons and other resources to the military to pretend to fight or fight the... I don't know if they're really fighting it. What are they doing with it? I guess they are.
Yeah.
They're just perpetuating it.
It's 1984, man. You need a fake war to sell your arms to.
Yeah,
and terrify the
people. Much of
people.
1984 with these perpetual wars that just continue on and on and on, and it's just about absorbing those resources so they can generate more and make more cash for those private corporations. But yeah, let's show this video.
Okay.
I think this is from RT. It's a good little clip, though, about the Latin American drug war.
Okay.
Well, we don't know if we're winning the war on drugs, but we do know it's expanding. In Latin America, the U.S. military is kicking up combat in the most expensive initiative in the region since the Cold War. Take a look at the numbers. $2.8 billion worth of supplies sold by the U.S. in 2011. There were $510 million in defense contracts over the last decade, $830 million spent toward countering narcotics, and 4,000 U.S. troops are currently in the region. For more on this expanding war on drugs in Latin America, Victor Silverman, history professor at Pomona College, joins us now. Welcome, Victor. So we know that the war on drugs has been going on for decades. How is it growing now?
Well, the problem with understanding the war on drugs growth at present is it centers on the need for the United States to continue to have a presence throughout Latin America, and that is at the base of it. Secondly, there's domestic policy concerns which make it very difficult for the Obama administration to shift its policy. Gil Kurlikowski, the U.S. drug czar, announced famously early on in the Obama administration that the drug war was no more, that the United States did not like that metaphor. However, American drug policy has not shifted really in any significant way in the first Obama administration, or first Obama term, and it doesn't now.
And
doesn't appear to be shifting now.
Yeah, I mean, does this signal that that is not going to shift anytime soon, not in his second term either?
No, it won't be shifting. And what happens is the location of U.S. military involvement in Latin America shifts. So we previously saw a massive involvement in Colombia through a program called Plan Colombia. Plan Colombia brought billions of dollars of U.S. military aid. American forces, both the military and the DEA, were stationed there and helped train the Colombians and bring them into a very active counter-guerrilla and counter-narcotics program. That shifted the thrust of the drug trafficking trade to Mexico. In turn, the United States launched what was called Plan Merida in Mexico, which brought billions of dollars to Mexico, substantial American involvement with the Mexican military. Mexico is now the largest recipient of U.S. military aid in the hemisphere. And that has meant now that the drug trade has shifted to Central America. So we saw last summer U.S. DEA agents involved in violent incidents in Honduras. Honduras is receiving $1.3 billion in new U.S. arms sales in this current year. This is a small country receiving a massive amount of infusion of American arms and weaponry. So what changes in the drug war is not the basic premise that the military and law enforcement are the central way to fight the drug war, but rather the location where it takes place.
Okay, yeah, we are seeing that they're finding this need to expand. And as you had mentioned, and we put the figures up there earlier, billions and billions of dollars spent on this war, billions of dollars more being poured into it. And you have to ask, at what end? What are we accomplishing there?
Well, there is a certain success to the drug war, but it may not necessarily be the success that the government claims it is. While there has been some restriction on the entry into the United States of various drugs, whether it's cocaine or marijuana, particularly from Latin America, the price of drugs, which is probably the best marker on the street of the success or failure of the interdiction strategy of the government, hasn't really shifted significantly. So we're not seeing a big rise in drug prices. What is
drug prices? But what about the actual flow of drugs?
Well,
of
that's
drugs?
The drug prices tell us that the drug flow is continuing unabated. Right? So that were there success in the drug war, there would be a big increase in drug prices. There hasn't been a big increase in drug prices, which means there hasn't been a successful interdiction. But what's been successful in the drug war is the continuing basis for American military involvement throughout Latin America. Latin America has shifted dramatically to the left. There's more democratic governments, there are more left-wing governments in Latin America over the last 12 years, 15 years. And the drug war provides a basis for the United States to maintain military bases, to maintain troop presences, and to maintain close relationships with Latin American militaries. So in that sense, the drug war is a tremendous success.
I guess it all depends on how you define success then when it comes to the war on drugs. If you're talking about actually stopping this hundreds of billions of dollars, this illegal industry, it hasn't really done that. So I want to point out what the Pentagon is saying when it comes to this war. They say that stopping drug trafficking organizations has become a matter of national security because it spreads corruption, can potentially finance terrorists, but it has been going on for decades. Is it a matter of national security now?
Oh, the reality of the drug trade is that it has enriched some really nasty people There's tremendous violence, particularly in Mexico, where somewhere around 70,000 people have been killed in the current drug war. It's corrupted Latin American institutions. It's corrupted American institutions. There is a real price to the drug war that is being paid by people dying every day, by people suffering from addictions that they're able to feed cheaply without getting the benefit of treatment. So there's many, there really is a crisis of drug use and of a growing drug industry. The problem is that American drug policy has not changed this. It's been the same basic drug policy for decades.
For decades. It's been going on for decades, and it looks like it is not ending anytime soon. Victor, thanks for coming on. That was Victor Silverman, history professor at Pomona College.
Happy to be here.
All right, I think we're back now. I think we are. Tell us if we're not, folks. I guess you won't be able to hear us if we're not.
I can hear you. I was.
Yes. So yeah, I wanted to play another video here about Latin America. Or actually, well, there's another one that I had that said Latin American government takes a second look at marijuana, or at decriminalization, or at something or other, at drugs in general. But I don't even know if we should play that one.
The legalization of marijuana use.
Marius, maybe we should play it. All right, play it. Might as well. Let's watch it.
We've come this far.
We've come exactly. And the video is basically that, you know, there's a lot of places in Latin America that have actually decriminalized marijuana and other drugs. Like in Mexico, you can possess small amounts of marijuana. It's legal too. So they are changing their tune because they realize that the drug war is so terrible. But it's not enough. They need to legalize the production and distribution. That's the only way you're going to end the war on drugs and the gang control down in Mexico. Go for it, Marius.
Okay.
The legalization of marijuana use in Colorado and Washington is putting some Latin American governments in an awkward position. After 4 decades on the front lines of the U.S. government's drug wars, some countries are now wondering if it was worth the cost. It is no longer a criminal act to possess small amounts of marijuana in Mexico and 9 other Latin American countries. Producing and selling those drugs remains illegal. But after decades of battling drug lords and seizing and burning illicit drugs, the presidents of Guatemala, Colombia, and Mexico, crucial allies in America's war on drugs, are wondering if they are fighting a losing battle.
Look at Mexico, the past 6 years, more than 60,000 dead in their drug wars, and that's just one country.
This week, the presidents of Mexico, Belize, Honduras, and Costa Rica called for an international debate on legalization.
There's a real concern over rising crime, and in particular violence. So rather than just escalate the routine enforcement, they've decided that we ought to look at a legal, regulated market as a possible solution.
According to the UN, cannabis, which includes marijuana and hashish, is the world's most widely used illicit substance.
So, yeah, a lot of destruction going on down in Latin America when it comes to the drug war. It's pretty harsh. But it's not all bad. And there's a lot of people speaking out about the drug war and taking part in the global marijuana march. Actually, this year, 2013, saw a lot of Latin American countries participating in big ways in the global marijuana march on May, what the heck was it, 4th, May 4th this year, and maybe May 11th in some places. So I actually have a video here from Buenos Aires in Argentina, the Global Marijuana March 2013 there, which was a really big one. A lot of people in this video. So Marius, is that one ready to roll?
Yes.
Argentina, Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires is a big city in Argentina, and this is a big march.
This stuff happens when I'm gone. se fuma marihuana, cachis, menos tabaco. También fumo.
Yeah, Marius, you just tell me when we're back. Oh, we're back. There you go. That's what you were telling me. So
Hang
yeah,
on, I'm still
bong
sending
rip
you a
here.
text.
So that was cool. A lot of people there in Buenos Aires. And Miranda Nelson is here from the Georgia Strait. Hi, Miranda. Oh, wait, I'm not loading this bong rip up for you. I'm loading it up for somebody else. Right? Am I allowed to say that you're smoking? You're pretty sure they know? Do you want to come and take it on camera? Come and take it on camera. That's not going to get... Something won't get you fired, will it? There you go. This might end up as a clip. Post it in the comment section on your latest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, now this is keef that I just loaded the bong up with. Now, when you take this, make sure to try and hit it lightly so that
Be very, very
it
careful.
doesn't get sucked down the pipe.
Well, there's like some
Try
sort
and
of
hit it
art
from the
to
bottom.
this.
Well, you see, it's going to melt onto the bottom because it's keef. And
I know how to smoke.
there you go. Well, then you shouldn't have any problem.
I've been doing this for a long time.
There you go. Yeah, that's Duchess. Duchess and Miranda. Go for it. Yeah, so Latin America, crazy situation going on down in Mexico with the gangs taking over everything. Marius has another story we're moving to here. Marius has been posting some stuff on the front page. This story included on Pot TV. Marius, what's the story?
This is the story of Daisy Bram, who is a medical marijuana user and had her kids taken away by Child Protective Custody.
Yeah, so this is crazy, and this is a video. Where's this video from?
California, I believe. Hang on.
Like a local station down there or something?
No, this is a Reason TV.
Oh, this is a Reason clip. Yeah, Reason's got a bunch of great drug war clips.
Yeah, Butte County, California.
Website and magazine.
Yeah, they
I
found,
guess they're libertarian. They're
they
just
found
free thinkers, maybe. I don't know what you call them.
it's a little bit disturbing. So.
A little bit disturbing.
Unfortunately, we
Is there
have
some
to
sort
be
of trigger warning we need to
Yeah,
like
should
watch
we-
out for?
That's right. Yeah, is this not
things are
safe for
important.
work or something?
No, it's fine for work.
Okay,
Well,
all right, but it's
well,
just a little
it
shocking,
will-
maybe. It's a bad
will-
story, really. I
It
mean,
will make you.
obviously.
It will make you want
People
to
get
end the
their
drug
kicks
war.
All right,
Okay.
check the video out.
My little baby Invictus is lying here sleeping with a smile on his face, and I kiss him and smell him. And I tell Thor, I'm sorry, but I'll come for you. And then I let him have it.
A few years ago, Daisy Bram, her partner Jamie Walsh, and their son Thor moved from Iowa to California. They made the move in part because California is a medical marijuana state.
We ended up in Butte County just kind of happenstance. Found a nice little mountain home in Concow, which is like this unincorporated little mountain town. And planted our little vegetable garden and planted our little cannabis garden, had all our paperwork in order.
Growing medical marijuana is common in Northern California, especially in places like Butte County, where medical marijuana dispensaries aren't allowed.
Zeus was born on September 1st. Right there in the bathtub, I delivered him, and it was great, and the sun was shining.
A few weeks after the birth of Zeus, Butte County sheriffs showed up at Bram and Walsh's door.
And I'm nursing my 28-day-old Zeus and my 15-month-old Thor, and I hear bang, 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 bang.
Daisy, what you're under arrest for is cultivation of marijuana and possession of marijuana for sale. Okay. Oh, and that's another charge is child endangerment on yours. I forgot that. You have the 3. So, okay.
Bram and Walsh's 2 young boys were taken by Child Protective Services and placed in foster care for 4 months.
Daisy Bram's case is unique because she's being charged with child endangerment by virtue of having grown marijuana or being present where marijuana was being grown.
Michael Levinson, an attorney who specializes in medical marijuana cases, is representing Bram pro bono.
I don't believe that the numbers of plants or the ways in which they were being grown exceed reasonable expectations for medical use.
30-some plants that you find in the backyard. If we were really criminals, would we grow pot in our yard for everybody and their mother to see it? I don't know. The CPS case closes on us in July, and everything's just fine, and Jamie and I are just kind of living our life. September 18th comes, and our 3rd son, Invictus, is born. And
Late in 2012, With their Butte County cases still unresolved, Bram and Walsh decided to move to neighboring Tehama County.
I find this beautiful little spread on the river, and oh my goodness, Jamie loves to fish, and I've got 3 boys. I mean, could you find a better spot? Orchard in the front yard, look at all this space, and it just seems too good to be true.
In January of this year, Tehama County sheriffs raided Bram and Walsh's new home. This time, they found a cannabis garden in a locked room off the back of the house.
There were 50 cannabis plants, about 12 inches high. And so that's they're all excited. So they're tearing through the house, and becomes very quickly evident that we're both going to be arrested and the kids are going to be taken again.
For the second time in less than 2 years, Bram and Walsh were charged with cultivation of marijuana, possession with intent to sell, and child abuse. And, once again, their children were taken by Child Protective Services.
I don't know, I just hope that someday they can forgive me. And they know how much I love them.
Walsh is in jail with bail set at $1 million. Bram is out on bail, and in February she went to a family court hearing in Tehama County. As Bram was leaving the courthouse, an investigator from the district attorney's office approached her car.
And he reaches in and turns off the engine and says, "Get out." And I'm like, "Oh, they're rearresting me. Awesome." He says, "I'm taking the vehicle. I'll stand over there." And I said, "What do you mean you're taking the vehicle?" He says, this car was purchased with the illegal sale of narcotics." I'm like, "What?" I pull out 3 car seats and all my personal effects while he's taking pictures, and the social workers and everybody's coming out of court. I'm just mortified. And they get in the car and they leave.
I highly doubt they're ever going to be able to resell it for anything close to what it cost them to grab it. And I think that they also knew that that was just one thing they could do to Daisy. They could take that car and really, really turn her life into a real hassle.
I'm scared of them. You win. I'm scared.
For now, Bram and Walsh are in a state of limbo, awaiting future court dates while their children remain in foster care.
I've only seen my children, a total of 4 hours supervised since they were taken. And every time I've seen them, they're in worse shape they were the time before. I taught them sign language, and they're forgetting all that. They're not being fed properly. They're not being clothed. They're not being taken care of at all. My children are so angry with me, they won't come near me. They won't touch me. They won't barely look at me. They won't use any of their signs. They refuse to say mommy or mama or anything.
There is just nothing worse. There's nothing worse that someone can be accused of than doing something to harm their own children. And if someone from the government is going to come after someone and make that accusation, they better have the ammunition ready to go.
I'd gotten a phone call when I came out of family court on Friday that they were going to move the babies because the foster parents didn't want them anymore. They'd gotten hurt, and the case was too much publicity and high profile, and my demands for their care with the organic, holistic, natural stuff was too much, and they just didn't want them anymore. Did I know of anywhere they could go? Yeah, home with their mama.
Daisy Bram has received significant support from the medical marijuana community. Her story is important because it highlights a key question in the ongoing debate surrounding marijuana policy. Are people who grow and use cannabis fit to be parents?
The prosecution was really never able to establish through scientific evidence that the mere presence of raw cannabis is dangerous to anyone's health, let alone a child.
I suppose to some degree, you want to make sure that everything your children have access to is absolutely, positively okay for them. But then no one should ever have alcohol or any cleaning products or cords that kids could trip over. I mean, we live on the Sacramento River, and while it's beautiful and great, does that not present a drowning hazard?
She does not deserve to be accused of doing anything to harm her children because she has never done such a thing and never would.
You know when you're good at something, and I'm good at being a mother, because I love it.
Yeah, this is a crazy big problem. These drug warriors can just take your kids away, take your property away.
And she has a license to use it in
Yeah.
California. And
Yeah, that's really harsh.
And the second time it was in a locked room, so there's no way the children could have gotten in there. And you
Yeah.
heard about the car seizure, and it was just obviously out of spite and malice. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason behind it.
No, and that's what it is. They can just use these laws to target whoever they want at random for no good reason.
It's almost like they want people to be criminals because that justifies the military-industrial complex, right?
Ah, exactly. That's
Prison
what they do
profit
want.
system.
Crime goes down every year, so they need some sort of fuel for their industry that they've built around prisons and
Yeah.
police and everything else. Geez, you could fire half the police force if you got rid of the drug war.
Yeah, pretty much.
Send all the prisoners home, but that'd be bad for the economy.
Yeah, I know. People working at a job, that's bad for the economy.
Yeah, no kidding. See, that's ridiculous.
It's bad for somebody's economy.
It's these police unions and it's the groups who lobby for the prisons, and there's a lot of people with a lot of money involved in this industry, and they don't want to see this over.
Well, and you can make more money off a person who's in prison. It costs however many thousands of dollars every year to jail them. Like,
Yeah.
they're not going to make that much at a minimum wage subsistence job. So,
And that money is handed directly over to these corporations, so goes, for all that money that it takes to house the prisoner and do all this stuff, that money goes somewhere.
Halliburton's got to get rich somehow. Come on.
Yeah, right. All these prison companies that maintain the prisons and do all this stuff, they're making a lot of cash. There's a
Mhm.
massive industry around it. So yeah, Miranda, what's new with you?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No.
How's the Georgia Strait? The election was just happening here in BC.
Oh my
so-
gosh, we were all flabbergasted, like just stunned.
No
yeah,
kidding, huh?
it was pretty crazy.
Nobody could predict that we would lose so badly, or the NDP would lose so badly. I was hoping that anybody would win other than Christie.
Well, apparently news came out today that the Liberals' internal polling totally predicted this. Whether or not that's true, well, that stands to be seen. But
Huh. Well, so the Libs knew.
yeah,
There you go. I guess because all those conservatives folded and caved and went liberal in the end.
well, and they were saying with all the advance polls, they were saying that a lot of people were lying to the pollsters about how they were going to vote. So they say that they were voting conservative, but when they got to the ballot box, they voted liberal.
Right.
It just seems weird to me.
They gave up the ghost at the last minute because their party
Yeah.
sucked so much.
Yeah, it's weird. I've never seen something so out of step with what the general data was telling us.
Yeah.
That's the weird part to me.
And you know what? Here's the thing. A lot of people screamed, "Oh, they cheated! They cheated!"
No.
In British Columbia, you can't really cheat at the elections. It's all paper ballots, hand counted.
Yeah.
So it's very, very hard to cheat. And when you look at the exit polling that they did for the election, it lines up right with the election results themselves. So.
Oh, well, there you go. Exit
yeah.
polls are a much better indication of anything.
Exit polls are always right, and that's how you know
Yeah.
that George Bush cheated, because
Yeah.
his exit polls, that was the first election that the exit polls were somehow wrong.
Yeah, so okay, I can buy that the preliminary polling was wrong, but if it's matching with the exit polls, even I, who would never vote Liberal, I can't say that they cheated. That's just a specious
there was
allegation. Yeah.
That's ridiculous. No, I think BC just decided to go with Christie, and the NDP voters stayed home.
Yeah, I think that's really what it was. It was
Yeah.
52% voter turnout. That was
Yeah.
really, I think, the thing that turned
So
it.
low, savagely
Yeah.
low. Only half the people came out, and
Yeah.
then only a small percentage of them actually voted for the Liberals. But
Yeah.
this first past the post system enables 25% of voters to decide for everybody
Yeah.
with a majority government.
Well, I mean, and
So-
that's what we saw federally too. The low voter turnout always aids the incumbent party. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as much as I love the Green Party and everything, there was that whole idea about vote splitting. We were talking to Dana about that. But the sad thing is that the NDP, I don't think really is as far as we want them to be on this issue. The Green Party is.
Yeah,
The Green
and-
Party is supporting the end of the drug war completely,
Mhm.
legalizing all drugs. The NDP can barely even say that it supports the decriminalization of marijuana.
Well, exactly. And when you have liberals like Sam Sullivan coming out and saying clearly, yes, this is a problem, I will work to do what I can to change this, and you don't have the NDP making any kind of stance on it,
It's pretty sad.
yeah, and I think it's really ridiculous to think that the people who voted Green would have voted NDP otherwise. I think that's false as well.
Yeah, because a lot of them might be libertarian conservatives.
Yep.
Those sort of, the Alex Jones listeners, the paleo conservatives. The people, but
Paleo-conservatives, that's the term for it now.
That's one of them.
Oh my God.
The freedom lovers. But also, I think a lot of progressive lefties that know that the NDP just going to cave into everything like they always do.
Well, and I hate to
and just
say
be
it.
another corporate party, they go for the Green Party as well.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but I think the choice of leadership was crummy. Really, like somebody like John Horgan, who doesn't have this list of baggage trailing behind him. He isn't painted with that like Glenn Clark era NDP stink. Like Adrian Dix had a lot of baggage, and the Liberals hit it fast and furious and didn't give up on their talking points.
Yeah.
Like John Horgan, who knows anything about him really? He's a blank slate.
Yeah.
He's a scrappy rural guy, you know?
No, it's true that
I voted for Horgan.
Dix was completely shit.
Mhm.
He didn't stand up for anything. He
Yeah.
didn't say anything. And he got his ass kicked brutally.
Yeah.
He
And like he won his own riding.
Dix
I'll give him.
There wasn't enough of those puns in the media.
Oh my
What
gosh.
was the one that I
you missed the best election video then, obviously. My
What?
friend
Which
Shirley
one's it?
Nome, I'm just going to plug this right
Plug
here.
it.
My friend Shirley Nome, who is a crass country and western artist, made this video that was all about Dix, how she was going to vote for Dix this election, how she supports Dix, and she's going to put Dix in her box at the ballot, you know.
Nice.
It was
Excellent.
really, really
Where
funny.
do people find that?
You could probably go to shirleygnome.com. I think I blogged it actually on the Straits website.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Where can people find your blog at the Georgia Straight?
I don't really have a section. It's just on the Straits website. Google my name.
But you have like a long slate of
do.
blog posts.
It's true.
You don't have like georgiastraight.com/Miranda?
No, unfortunately, that would make it a lot easier for. I think you have to go like /users/Miranda-Nelson. Something like that.
There you
I
go.
don't know.
So it's there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
Well, did you? Yeah, you took your bong rip. Wait, I was gonna play another video before we go here. It's already 6:12 now. So we got carried away talking about the election again.
Sorry, folks.
That's good though. Yeah, that election was pretty brutal. Hopefully, the Green Party guy will team with Andrew Weaver. Is it Andrew Weaver?
Yep, Andrew Weaver.
And maybe Dave Eby will get in on it too, and
Yeah.
they'll support the Sensible BC thing and
I'm just really hoping.
legislate it instead of having to wait for this ballot initiative.
Yeah, I just really hope that people who are really passionate about the issues, pipelines, prohibition, that sort of stuff, that they don't sit on their ass and do nothing about it in between elections. We're not going to have another one till what, 2017 or something stupid like
God.
that? Like, yeah, I really hope this spurs people to stay politically motivated.
So what are they going to do with Christie? They have to give her a seat.
Yeah,
now,
they
I guess.
basically have to give her a seat, so she's going to ask one of the Liberals MLAs to step down, and normally that would just be a by-election. And out of courtesy, generally, they don't run another candidate, but I don't know. I think it would be fun for them to run more candidates against her and just show. Yeah. Like,
The
Adrian
Crusty
Dix was the
challenge.
only leader who won his own riding. That's got to tell you something. People may support the Liberals, but I don't think they necessarily support Christy Clark.
Yeah, I agree. They said, but what did Sam Sullivan say? He said Christie's a god.
Well, and-
she brought the party back from the dead.
Well, yes and no. He didn't really reference her in his campaign material at all. He was really running on his name.
Oh yeah, and before, yeah, exactly. People were running from Christie. That nobody wanted to have anything to do with her. They didn't
Yeah.
even have her name or face on the website. They didn't want to have anything to do with
Yeah.
her. Well, I don't know if that's true, but there was a lot of things that people were running and hiding from Christie the whole time. So
Mhm.
their own candidates, they didn't want her support.
But you got to
anyways-
give it to her as a radio talk show host. She's good with the soundbite. She's got that folksy
charismatic,
soccer mom
strangely.
appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know she does. And she's definitely more attractive than Adrian Dix.
But he kept wearing the orange ties, don't you know?
Yeah. Well, I don't mind Adrian, but... All right, well, we have one more video, and I think we should just play this on the way out, so we'll say goodbye before we do. But the last video is about the effect of the drug war on the black community. When I was down visiting Mark in Mississippi, and it was time for Mark to go back, everybody lined up against the wall, and there's 20 to 25 guys lined up against the wall. And literally, Mark was the only white guy.
Yeah.
Every single person lined up against the wall in jail down there was black, and they're all there for drug crimes, every single one of them.
That sounds about right.
And then these prisons, they just load them up with these people, with just so many people loaded in jail.
Well, and you'd incarcerate them early, and then they just keep going back, you know, that becomes the only life that you know.
And really, isn't it because it's a hard thing to do to compete with China and the slave labor that they have going on there? So you kind of have to throw a whole bunch of people in jail and then subsidize it. It's a way of just handing that money over to corporations and having a way of competing in a weird way.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's using government funds to compete with China in a strange way, I guess. You know, because these prisons are really places where they do manufacturing.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's true. In the
The
United States.
specter of China.
And there's more black men in jail now than there was than slaves under slavery in the United States.
Really?
Yeah.
That's horrific. That doesn't surprise me in the slightest, but that's pretty horrific.
Yeah, it's pretty damn horrific. So we're going to play that video on the way out. And they actually have an interview, I believe, with Neil Franklin from Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. He's a really great guy, fantastic guy. We've met him. He's come and hung out with us here, and he's I think he's the leader of LEAP. Like, he runs the whole deal down there. So,
okay.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Seeing him speak is just inspiring. He's got a lot of great stuff to say. He's a former police officer. Big thanks to everybody who came on the show. Marco Renda, Dana Larson, Eric was in the house, Holly was in the house, Miranda, Marius, the whole crew. And yeah, fun vids today, and thanks for everybody out there watching. We'll be back next week at the Treating Yourself Expo, broadcasting live in Toronto from the Metro Toronto Convention Center. You guys saw a little bit of the Treating Yourself stuff today, and that's what's happening next week. So stay tuned. Before then, we'll have From Under the Influence of Marijuana Man. More stuff coming at Pot TV soon. I'm not sure if we'll be doing Jams in the Key of Green this week, but we'll keep you guys posted. Also, Tuesday morning, don't forget, class in session, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific time, right here on Pot TV. And Marius, how did class in session go last week? This week?
Went really well.
Awesome. I wasn't able to make it myself. I was out campaigning with Jody early in the morning on election day. But you guys had some fun?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Yeah, that's an informative show. Al the Alchemist, Chris Bennett, David Mamo Levine, and now Marius is producing that show.
Yeah, that's right. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks, Marius, for working the boards today.
Hey, no worries.
And we'll...
I'm getting the hang of it.
Exactly. We'll see you guys soon, and keep smoking them. Yo, I guess we don't have any more bong rips left here. I was scraping the last ones, but you guys will just have to rewind to our earlier bong rips and watch them again. Peace, guys. That's the wrong video.
U.S. drug policies have been designed to try to compel people to drop using soft drugs like marijuana and to turn to hard drugs like coke. That's actually the case. I don't say they thought of this and decided to do it, but that's what the policies are. In fact, it's almost a concomitant of the fact that marijuana is big and bulky and easy to detect, and highly industrialized drugs are harder to detect. Furthermore, there's another, if some of you want to do a research project, somebody around here wants to make sure they never get a job, but wants to study something interesting, you might look into the history of why tobacco is legal, but marijuana is illegal. I mean, tobacco is vastly more lethal and destructive than marijuana. They're not even in the same domain, you know. But tobacco, in fact, is the most lethal substance around. Actually, the second most lethal substance known. The most lethal is sugar, I guess. But tobacco's close second. So why is tobacco illegal but marijuana illegal? Well, I think there's a speculation that comes to mind. The speculation is that marijuana is kind of like solar energy. Marijuana you can grow anywhere. You can grow it in your backyard, you know, it's a weed, grows everywhere. On the other hand, tobacco is an industrial crop. You can make money on it. A lot of inputs, you know, takes a lot of capital and so on. Now, you know, if you have something legal that everybody can do, you're not going to make any profit on it, so you better make it illegal. On the other hand, if there's something that people can make a lot of profit on, especially, you know, agribusiness and pesticides and fertilizer companies and so on, it better be legal so you can get away with it. That's just a speculation. I've never seen a study on the topic, but you might want to look into it. In any event, again, if you don't want a job, that's a qualification. But Fact is that marijuana was made illegal, though, and it's probably not good for you, but as far as anybody knows, there hasn't been one recorded overdose, I think, in about 60 million users, as far as I'm aware. But marijuana was essentially made illegal, and a very high percentage of the people now in jail are there because somebody found a marijuana joint in their pocket, quite literally. So Colombia, in fact, shifted from producing marijuana, which is now mostly produced here, to producing cocaine and industrial.
Oh, there it is. So I guess that was the Noam Chomsky video instead. But that was a good one. I wanted to play that clip anyway. It was on the list.
In a moment, we'll talk to a former Baltimore police officer.
We have the bong rip here, so I'm going to take this one. It's the last bong rip for the show.
Sir, who wants to legalize street.
Nice. Thanks, Marius. What am I smoking?
Ooh, couldn't tell you.
Drugs?
Delicious drugs.
Some kind of kush, probably.
Fish, yeah. Genetically modified cannabis with fish scales.
Kush. Some kind of kush.
Kush, not fish. All right, well, so now we'll play the Neil Franklin Leap video.
Yes. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Peace. See you soon.
In a moment, we'll talk to a former Baltimore police officer who wants to legalize street drugs and end the war on drugs. But first, some background. Launched in the early 1970s, the war on drugs is the nation's longest, most expensive battle. 40 years and hundreds of billions of dollars spent and millions of lives destroyed. It continues even though most experts say it can't and will never be won. And though whites are more likely to use or sell narcotics, African Americans, and black men in particular, have become the war's primary casualties. Federal government stats show African Americans make up 14% of regular drug users, but are about 37% of those arrested for drug crimes. From 1980 to 2007, the height of the crackdown, 25.4 million adults were charged with possession or use of illegal narcotics. 8.5 million of those were African American, nearly 3 times the percentage of blacks in the general population. Of the nearly 1 million African Americans behind bars, about 2/3 are there for nonviolent drug offenses, even though whites are more likely than blacks to use illegal drugs. President Barack Obama and drug czar Gio Kurlikowski have made tentative steps away from the drug war. In 2010, President Obama signed a law reducing disproportionately tough sentences for crack cocaine. But that went from 100 to 1 to 18 to 1. And Kurlikowski has pushed treatment for drug offenders instead of incarceration. If the number of black men behind bars continues to spiral as the war grinds on, keeping men out of college, out of the workforce, and out of their homes. Over the last 20 years, studies show about 1 out of every 10 black children has had a father in a prison cell. Joining us to talk about the impact on the war on drugs has had on African American communities is Judith Brown Dianis, co-director of the Advancement Project, and Neil Franklin. He's a Baltimore ex-police officer who is executive director of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. Folks, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Ron.
When you look at those numbers and you see how dramatic it is, what jumps out is the fact that you have folks who are nonviolent offenders who are filling up state prisons, filling up federal prisons, at a time when, frankly, we can't afford to be able to house and continue to house more and more folks in prisons. When do you believe politicians are going to gain their senses and say, this policy makes no sense?
Well, I think we're seeing it now. I do think that there are some states that are taking up a different approach to the war on drugs because we see, that we're like burgeoning. I mean, that, you know, there are too many people where it's costing too much. And even, in fact, it's interesting that Republicans have been taking up this issue because they know that we're spending too much on prisons. But we haven't gotten there yet. We really do need for the administration, the Obama administration, to really take leadership on this issue and start to change the frame to prevention and treatment.
A major civil rights leader told me that they have gotten more support on sentencing reform, issues like this, from Republican governors than they have from Democratic governors.
Right.
Those Republican governors are looking at it from a fiscal standpoint. From my vantage point, I don't care what your motive is if, frankly, it's right.
Right. But the numbers that you just mentioned, you know, this is truly an issue about race and class. And that is my motive. That's my motivation for doing the work that I do.
Right, and I think, Roland, the thing is that while we want them to take up this issue, and maybe they're taking up for fiscal reasons, when you have the wrong motive, sometimes you have the wrong remedy, right? And so what we need to make sure is when they're taking up this issue, are they making sure that the prevention and treatment is in place? Are they also dismantling certain policies that lead to this? So, for example, you can't just say, let's get people out of prison and not take care of stop and frisk.
Right. The reason
I mean, you have to take care of these other issues that lead to this pipeline.
Right. The reason I'm afraid of this, because what happens when our fiscal situation improves? Okay, do we go back to more prisons, more police, more correctional officers? And, you know, so we have to dismantle the systems that are in place for putting so many people in prison in the first place. And that, number one, is a drug war.
And we talk about that. When I hear folks say, let's legalize drugs, the reality is that's not going to happen, frankly, when you have parents, when you have folks out there who already have this view in terms of this is how I sort of feel on drugs. How will legalizing drugs somehow fix this problem?
Well, I mean, just go back to the 1920s with alcohol prohibition. That was the other time in our nation's history when homicides were literally through the roof. We had the running gun battles back then. We had the drive-by shootings back then. But when we ended alcohol prohibition, so did the homicide rate go down drastically. Now, with drug prohibition, we brought it back up again. Violent crime, the gangs in our communities fighting each other over market share for the drug trade. Let me ask you a question. What part of our current policies of drug prohibition are working? Do we have less crime, less addiction rates, less disease, less overdose deaths? No. None of it's working. And the only solution to ending the drug war is to end the prohibition of drugs. That means legalization.
Diana?
The other thing is that we have to get back to the other kinds of things that people need to give them hope, to get them out of a cycle of drugs in their lives, right? We need better schools. We need, opportunities. People don't have jobs. So we have to give people the other kinds of things, the wraparound kind of services, but also programs in the hood that actually get people out of that life and give them other opportunities.
Very true. Because the drug trade right now is not only attractive to our young people, they have better recruitment programs. These gangs into the drug business, they have better recruitment programs than many of our Fortune 500 companies.
All right, Judith and Neil, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Thanks. Folks, I'll be back.